Hello everyone. Welcome to Talk About It Thursdays. I am your host, Karen Bailey. Let me know when you're on. I would love to say hello to you guys. Happy Thursday, happy pre-Friday, everybody. I'm hoping everybody's having an amazing week. You know, seems like the months are just flying by, you guys. Hey, Lindsay, how are you? Happy pre-Friday. Yeah, the weekend is almost here. You know, that's what we look forward to. When we work Monday through Friday, we looking forward to that Friday afternoon. We ready to go. Sometimes I'm ready to go by 9 o'clock in the morning, but I know I gotta push through. Gotta push through. You guys, thank you so much for letting me take a break. Last week I got away and got to woo-saw a little bit. Hey Pamela, got to woo-saw a little bit. Got to kind of deal with some things I was dealing with for just a minute. You know, we all have our stuff, you know, that we're gonna have to deal with no matter how long we live in this life, no matter what level we get to. There's always going to be something in your life that you're going to have to deal with. And I think God does that to keep us humble. So I'm always thankful for, you know, just the lessons that I learned just from, you know, the way life is. You know, you're going to be up sometimes, you're going to be down sometimes, but the thing about it is to don't stay down. Don't stay down. Once you go down and come back up, you got to keep fighting. Keep fighting. And the last time we talked, you guys, we talked about getting a detox, you know, in your mind, your body, and your spirit, you know, and knowing when it's time to detox, knowing when it's time to break away, knowing when it's time to give some things up in your life. And you're the only one that knows when that time is. Don't ignore it, because you'll end up hurting yourself. You'll end up stressing yourself out. When it's time for you to detox, just do it. You're worth it. And you're going to be better on the other side of it. You guys, I'm going to go ahead and get started. Our topic today is even broke crayons still color. You know, a lot of times we go through so many things in life. You know, events from our past can leave us feeling like we're broken or like we're damaged. You know, sometimes people will say ugly things to us depending on what they know about our past or what they know about our story, you know, and they will label you as broken or damaged or you know, she got issues. Everybody's got issues. So don't let life make you feel like you're less than. And that's what this whole topic is about. And when we say that a person feels broken or has brokenness in their spirit, it means it's a state of strong emotional pain that stops you from living a normal, healthy life. Anything that stops you from living your best life, somewhere down inside, it's keeping you from reaching your full potential. That thing is breaking you, because God has put so much inside of each and every one of us. There's no reason for us not to be the best version of ourselves. But we allow things in life, we allow the people in our lives, we allow the circumstances in our life to break us down sometimes. And when you're broken, it's hard to be that person you know you need to be. So that's what we want to talk about today. And the first thing you have to do when you know that you're broken, acknowledge it. You know, that's the first step in getting healed. You know, we like to try to pretend that everything's okay all the time, but nobody's doing great all the time. And we've got to stop putting on that facade and pretending, you know, that nothing bothers us, that nothing slows us down, that nothing kind of sets us back a little bit, because we miss out on our blessing. When you're humble enough to say, you know, I don't know what to do in this situation, or this thing has really affected me, or this has really set me back. You never know what support is out there for you if you let people know that you need them. You know, when you're always walking around acting like you got it together, more than likely people won't bother you. People won't even offer assistance to you, and you miss out on your blessing. And then the Bible has a meaning of brokenness. It says being so crushed by sin and darkness of the world that we recognize that there's no place to turn to but God. You know, sometimes it's to the point where so much is going on in the world to you say, you know, Lord, you know, this stuff is out of control. You know, I'm just so upset by all the things that are happening in the world, all the sin in the world, all the hate and all of the killing, all of this, all of that. It draws you closer to God. And God uses broken people and broken situations to do great things. You know, all through the Bible, it talks about different people. None of those people were perfect that God used. They all were broken in some way. So therefore, don't count yourself out just because you're not strong in this area, or just because you were strong and then something happened, you know, and you're not where you used to be. God specializes in using broken people and broken situations to do great things. You know, while the world teaches us that once we're broken, we're not worth anything, we should be thrown away, we should be put aside, that's why we should be glad that God is not like man. You know, God's thinking is not the same as the world's thinking. God counts you blessed when you're broken, because he said at this time you can draw closer to him when you're broken. Because when you're broken, a lot of times you have exhausted all of your resources. You know, you've done everything that you can do, and now you're at that point of surrender and saying, Lord, you know, I can't do anything else. I need you to help me. I'm putting it in your hands. And that's where God wanted you to be in the first place. That way you can learn to depend on him. You can learn to trust in him. So that's the blessing that happens when you're broken, is you draw closer to God. Another blessing is it's a time of reflection and self-discovery. You know, when you're broken, when you're at a point where you've tried everything that you can do, it makes you reflect back on your decisions. It makes you reflect back on the advice that you took. It makes you reflect back on where you went wrong and why you did what you did. And sometimes you need to come to that realization so that you can understand, God, I'm broken because I keep doing the same stuff over and over again, and I'm expecting a different result. God, somewhere I'm broken. Help me understand what broke me so I don't keep going through the same stuff over and over again. So that's that self-discovery. You know, you need to find out what it is about you that keeps getting you in the situations that you keep getting yourself into. If you're broken, figure out how you got there so that you'll know how to get out of it. So that time of reflection happens when you're broken. Another thing that happens when you're broken, that's a blessing. Like I said, the Lord draws closer to you when you're broken. And his word says he is close to those who are brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. So that means God is surrounding you. God is trying to wrap his arms around you. God is trying to console you when you're broken. And that's a time when you can really feel God's love when you're broken. Number 3, though you may feel defeated, God is always closer than you realize. Number 4, God is always with you and can heal your heart. You know, a lot of times we think that whatever we're going through, that you're not going to be able to get over it. But, you know, I've gone through some things in my own life that I look back over now and I said, how did I get through that? And the answer was God. God was there for me when I was broken, when I couldn't count on anybody else, when I didn't know what to do, when I was scared to death. God is always there. And that's what he wants you to understand. Even in your broken times, that's when he draws even closer to you. But you have to accept him. And you have to accept what he's trying to do for you and what he's trying to give you. And then number 5, when you're broken or been brokenhearted, it awakens your compassion. And it gives you a greater ability to forgive, because we have to be forgiven for so much. You know, when you've, disappointed yourself, I don't know if any of y'all have done that, but there's been times where I've made decisions and I'm like, man, why did I do that? I know better. I disappointed myself. And I had to find a way to forgive myself. And it made me more compassionate towards others because I saw how easily I got caught up. So I can't really judge you because I've been there. I know what it's like to have to hold my head down because I knew better than to do something, or people tried to warn me and tell me not to do something. So I know what it is to have to really fight to forgive myself, because of something that I've done. And because I had to work through that process, it's made me more compassionate and made me more easily forgivable with other people. It don't take me a long time to forgive people, especially if I see that they're sincere or that it was an honest mistake, or, that they were acting out of their emotions, things of that nature. It doesn't take long for me to forgive people. I don't hold grudges anymore. And I think that's simply because of what I've gone through and all the broken times in my own life. When you're broken, you don't have time to worry about who did this, who did that. All you want is to not feel the way that you're feeling. And you want to be stronger and you want to get back to where you used to be. And so God has a way of using your brokenness to humble you and also to create more compassion within you and cause you to give people more grace. And just because you've been broken in one area of your life, it doesn't mean you lose value in other areas. You may, not be what you used to be in this particular area, or you may have messed up. I put it to you like that. But there's still so much in you. You're not your failures. You're not that sin you committed. You're not that bad mistake. Just because of something like that, a circumstance, that doesn't devalue who you are. That just means that you made a poor decision and you're having to deal with the decision that you've made. But that doesn't make you any less valuable to God just because you happen to basically deal with a situation that you've gotten yourself into or a decision that you've made. So you don't think that you're not valuable just because you made a mistake in one area of your life. And that's why, I think about people that commit suicide. A lot of times people are shocked when people commit suicide because those people keep a lot of things inside. And because they have trouble forgiving themselves, because they feel like they don't have the support that they need, because they are not willing to share what's going on with them, they suffer in silence, not realizing whatever is going on with them, it's just temporary. Those things are going to pass at some times. And if you would open up and talk to somebody, get you some help, get you a good support system, you don't have to go that route. You can get through it. You don't have to end your life just because of a circumstance or because of a situation that's going on with your life. And I think the enemy likes to put that in people's minds that, there's no way out. You've messed up. God doesn't love you. He puts those things in your mind when you're already broken. And that's why it's so important not to isolate yourself when you're going through something, because that's the time when the enemy he's going to try to play with your mind. He's going to try to convince you that whatever you've done, whatever circumstances that you've gotten yourself into, that thing is permanent. And that's a lie. It's never permanent. And committing suicide is making a permanent decision over a temporary circumstance or a low point in your life. So today I want to talk to anybody out there that feels like they've done too much or been through too much or to the point where you're too damaged to be valuable. If you've never felt like that, count yourself blessed. But I know I felt that way before. I know what it's like to feel like I'm less than. I know what it feels like to feel like nobody was on my side. And I know if I've gone through it, I'm sure other people have gone through it as well. So I just wanted to encourage anybody that may be feeling like that right now to understand that We all go through things. You know, we got these hills and valleys we got to deal with in life. And just understand there are good people out there. There are people that will embrace you. There are people that will speak words of affirmation over you. There are people that will pray for you. You don't have to go through things by yourself. You really don't. And it's hard to know who to trust, but that's one of those things you just have to try out and see. You know, don't give people too much. You know, give them a little bit. Test them out and see if they're trustworthy with the little bit that you give them. That's the way I do people now. I don't give them everything all at once because I don't know them like that. Or I don't know how much of my stuff they can hold on to without blabbing it to everybody else. And that's a big thing. You know, when God has touched you to be an intercessor or to pray for people or to be an encourager or to be a coach, whatever, you have got to learn to bridle this tongue and understand that when people are telling you their deepest thoughts, their deepest pain, their deepest secrets, it is not your right to go and put that out. That is not your right to put their information out there. If they trust you to keep it, keep it. Keep it and pray about it. You don't need to tell anybody else about it. And so for those of us that have had those moments where you feel less than or feel damaged, here's some encouragement for you. Number one, God is not done with you yet. There's so much more to your story than what you're going through right now. So whatever situation has happened, whatever disappointment has happened, whatever person has hurt you, whatever person has disappointed you, that's only a small part of your story. You know, I think about when I was little, and this may be off topic a little bit. When I was little, you know, we didn't have a lot of money, and I remember I loved my box of crayons. I was able to find some crayons, y'all. And the reason I chose this topic, that broken crayons still color, you know, every once in a while you get to coloring good, and you'll break that crayon. You know, and when you don't have a lot of money, baby, you will make that crayon work for you. You will turn it on the side. You'll turn it up on the bottom. You'll try to do whatever you can to try to sharpen it. You'll pull the paper back. You know, that's how we have to be in life. Understand that just because you've had things happen to you, just because things have not been easy for you, and just because, you know, you've had to go through some things, don't give up. Keep coloring, keep going. You know, because even in your brokenness, you're valuable. Even in your broken state, somebody needs you. Your children need you. You know, and I understand it's hard as a parent. You know, when you're going through things, you want to be strong for your children. Take your moments, get to yourself, have those moments where you break down, but then you have to come back and say, you know what, I may be broken, but I'm still valuable. I may be broken, but I still have something to do. God is not through with me yet. And you have to remind yourself when those situations come that make you feel like you're less than, that God has so much more to my story than what I'm going through right now. God has so much more to my story than how I'm feeling right now. Number two, just remember, unfortunately, bad things happen to good people sometimes. But what you want to remember is God is a way maker no matter what has happened in your life. Call on God, give that thing to God and ask God, you know, God, I don't know why this had to happen to me, but God, help me through it. Help me to do what's going to honor you the most. Help me to do what you can get the glory out of, and then show me why I had to go through what I went through. You know, because none of us are exempt from trouble. You know, but when you're in trouble, God is the way maker. God is the one that's going to get you through to the other side. So just remember that you have an ally. God is on your side. Number three, put your trust in God, because He is more than able to handle any situation. I'm not talking about just that situation. God can handle any situation you get yourself into. The Bible talks about there is nothing new under the sun. So therefore, that means there is nothing new that you can get into that somebody in the past hadn't gotten into and God hadn't made a way. So God already knows your end from the beginning, so he already knows what's going to happen in your life. That's why I say God is your way maker, and you have to remind him of his word. You have to speak back to God. Hey, Christia, you have to speak back to God and say, you know what, God, you said that you would be for me. You said that I am more than a conqueror. You said, put his word back to him. God's word will not go out and come back void. So just understand, put your trust in God. He's more than able to handle whatever you find yourself into. He's not surprised by it. You know, this is not something new to him. He's got an answer for everything that you go through. And then number 4, remember what you say to yourself and what you say about yourself matters. You know, sometimes when you're feeling like you're less than, or not feeling very valuable, or feeling like everybody's overlooking you, it's easy to start saying those ugly things about yourself, especially when you start comparing yourself to other people. That's why it's dangerous to do that, because you don't know what God has in store for you, and you may be blocking your blessing with your own mouth. Just the way you talk about yourself and things you say about yourself, you're saying the opposite of what God is saying about you. So we have to stop doing that. Just because we're feeling a certain type of way does not mean that it's okay for us to start putting ourselves down or start thinking less of ourselves. You have to remember that God doesn't make mistakes. And if God says you're this and you're that, that's what you are. You may not feel like it right now. That's why it's so important to speak words of affirmation over yourself. Even when you can't feel what you're saying, say it anyway. Say it, put that out in the atmosphere. I'm going to be, an entrepreneur. I'm going to own my own business. I'm not going to have to work for anybody. God is preparing a business for me. God has a position for me at this job. I'm going to be recognized, in high places. Start saying those things about yourself, because God has a plan for you, and sometimes it's our mouth and our attitude that slows us down or even keeps us from getting to where we need to be. And then number 5, remember, you have a purpose, even in your brokenness. Like I say about the crayon, even when you break a crayon, guess what? You can still use it. All you got to do. See, God don't have limitations. We have limitations. God doesn't have limitations. Baby, when we break that crayon, we be like, oh no, I'm finna use my color. We're finna use it. Baby, we'll pull that paper back, and guess what? Now you can use your crayon again. Now your crayon will still color. So you have to understand, just in life, just because you have a setback, don't go sit on the sidelines. No, shake yourself off, regroup, unwrap whatever you need to unwrap to get free, so you can keep it moving. Because sometimes we'll allow that cloud of judgment or that cloud of self-doubt to get on us when we make a mistake. You got to shake that stuff off. You got to take off whatever you got to take off, so that you can get back in the game, and so you can do what you need to do. Just because I may have been broken, just because I made a bad decision, just because I got hurt, hey Nancy, I got hurt by something, doesn't mean that I'm going to count myself out. It may take me a minute to dust off a little bit, but I'm still coming back. And I'm going to come back stronger than ever. Sometimes it takes a minute for you to get out of your feelings about things, and that's okay. But come back. Don't stay on the sidelines. Don't let life defeat you. Whatever you're going through, whatever you got to take off when you get broken. And then sometimes, you're broken off at the top. Sometimes something so bad, it breaks you down to, there ain't nothing but this left. But guess what? Even this will still color. We'll still make it work. You've got to understand that you have got to stop worrying about what you lost. Stop worrying about what didn't happen, and focus on the now. What's going on now? What do I have right now that I can use to make my life better? You have to understand you can still color even when the crayon is broken. You can still go forward even when your heart is hurting. You can go forward even when you're disappointed. But you have to have the tenacity and the drive to say, you know what? That happened to me. Yeah, it hurt, but I'm not going to let that one little thing in my life change the rest of my life. Hey, Debbie, you've got to make that decision, because we all are just walking through our own books of life. So whatever's happening or whatever happened in the past is just one small chapter. You have got to believe that God has something better for you in the chapters ahead, so that you can shake the dust off, so you can stop crying, so you can stop feeling sorry for yourself and realize this ain't it. This is not over. If I'm still breathing, it's not over. God has something better for me. But you've got to believe that, and you've got to stop saying those bad things about yourself and speaking negatively about your life. You have a purpose, and even your brokenness has a purpose. God is a purposeful God. You know, he wants you to draw closer to him. A lot of times that's why he lets things happen in our lives, simply because we've gotten, as they like to say, old people say, we've gotten beside ourselves. Sometimes we can have it going on and we two-step into the right, to the left, and we forget about God. So sometimes God has to let a little rain come in your life for you to realize who the rainmaker is. You know, God wants you to understand that you're here because of me. Understand, recognize that everything that you are, everything that you're going to be, is going to be because of me. And he doesn't want you to get so far away that y'all lose connection. Number 6, everything has an expiration date, you guys. Like I said before, for those people contemplating suicide, everything has an expiration date. Don't sell your life short by ending your life too soon. You know, wait it out. See what the Lord is going to do in your life. You know, it's so sad to me when I see people with potential, when I see them give up, when I see people have a bad patch in their life and they just say, forget it, they don't care anymore, and they start living like they don't care. It's like, that's just one chapter, that's just one little old section in your life. Get back up, try something different, do it differently next time, and let's just see what God is going to do, because we don't know. All we can do is expect God's best, because God says that Jesus came to give us life and give us life more abundantly. So we have to believe that God wants us to have a better life than the life we currently have. So everything has an expiration date. Trouble does not last always. You guys, for all of you ladies on here, I'm looking at the people on the podcast that are joining in. I know personally each one of y'all have gone through some stuff. Because I know y'all personally, and trouble don't last always. I said that's one thing that we need to teach our children. Trouble is going to come, but trouble doesn't have to stay. You have to believe that everything in your life has an expiration date. You just got to pray your way through, and you just got to walk through it. And number 7, whatever you go through, ladies, don't let it make you bitter. Don't let the enemy win and make you bitter, make you criticize people, make you hate other people, be jealous of other people. You're letting the enemy win. Don't do that, because that's his whole purpose. Anything to make you look less like a child of God, anything that he can ridicule you about and say, oh, I thought you were a Christian. Oh, I thought you loved the Lord. Look at you talking about people. Look at you hating on her. Look at you gossiping about her. Don't let the enemy win, you guys. Stop letting life make you bitter. You know, just because something good happened to somebody and it didn't happen for you, learn to clap for that person. Learn to be happy for them, because you don't know what all they went through before they got to that point. And a lot of times we see the end of people's story or the end of people's blessing, and we don't see what they had to go through to even get to that point. And then we're sitting up jealous over something we don't really even understand. We see the good, but we didn't see all the times they were broken into pieces and God had to put them back together again. You know, you don't know. So learn to clap for other people and be happy for them. And then wait your turn. You know, your turn is coming, but it's all about your attitude. It's all about your gratitude to God. God is not going to bless you with something if he knows that you're jealous-hearted or that you won't appreciate it. You have got to learn to allow other people to be great. That takes nothing away from you. They don't take nothing away from your shine by letting other women shine with you. We've got to get away from this wanting to be the biggest person in the room. We've got to stop doing that, you guys. So let's let life make us better and not bitter. That's right. The storm is almost gone. That's right. And a lot of times it's the people that we're around, you guys, that influence us in the way that we go with things. You know, if you got people that's always reminding you of the bad stuff that's happened to you, and this is not fair, and that shouldn't have happened to you, get away from those people. Because who's to say what should have and shouldn't have happened to you? We don't have any control over those things. Like I said earlier, good and bad happens to good people and bad people. You know, we just have to take it as it comes, you guys, and just pray to the Lord as we're going through. That's why the Bible always talks about how we should always pray, because we don't know what's coming. We have no idea what's coming, you guys. And so just remember to not let life make you bitter. Learn from whatever you're going through and let it make you be a better person. Number 8, remember what broke you the last time and stop going back to it. You know, get healed and keep moving. Sometimes it's people that have broken us, you know, and we keep going back to those same people that have hurt us over and over again. Figure out what broke you in the first place and get away from it. Stop going back to it. You know, you get healed, and then next thing you know, you get yourself in the same kind of relationship and you're back being broken down again. You went from being like this to a bunch of pieces again, and then you're like, oh, here I am again. No, because your behavior didn't change. You're still attracted to the same thing. You know, God had to deal with me about that in my own life, because it seemed like I attracted abusive men. But it was until God made me realize there was something about me, you know, that let them feel like it was okay to treat me the way that they did. So it was easy for them to be disrespectful to me. It was easy for them to try to be physical with me. And until I realized I was part of the problem, I couldn't break the pattern. And I didn't want to admit I was part of the problem, because I felt like I was the nice person, I was the forgiving person. But sometimes that's the problem. When a person is an adult and they have bad behavior and you're always forgiving them all the time, you're setting up a precedence that it's okay to treat me like this. I'm going to forgive you anyway. It's not okay to let people run over you. It's not okay to let people bully you. And sometimes we get it twisted as a child of God, thinking, oh, well, you know, I know the Bible talks about turning the cheek. We're not God. I'm not Jesus. So I'm going to stand up for myself. I'm not going to let you continually mistreat me and get away with it, because if your behavior is not going to change, I'm going to need you to move around. You've got to learn how to love yourself enough to say, I deserve better than that. No, you're not going to treat me like that. There's consequences when you show bad behavior, or you treat me a certain way that I've asked you not to. There's consequences, and that makes that person a better person for somebody else. They may not be good for you when you have to let them go, but they might be better for the next person that comes into their life. But you have to decide. You have to decide what you deserve and what you don't deserve. So stop going back to situations, whether it's your family. If your family is a stumbling block for you, if your family is not encouraging you to be better, if your friends want to keep you where you are and they're not motivating you, they don't believe in you, you might have to separate yourself and get around some people that can push you to be a better person, so that you won't end up losing years from your life and then later on down the line being bitter about what you did and or didn't do, you know, when you had the opportunity. So remember what broke you. Stop going back to it. You know, sometimes we use love as an excuse for going back into an abusive relationship, or being around friends, you know, that we've known forever that don't treat you right. Stop using love as an excuse to go back to something that hurt you in the past. Learn to move away, let those things go, leave those things in the past so that you can be healed and you can stay healed. Number 9, don't count yourself out, even if everybody else does. You know, people like to point out your mistakes. People like to point out your failures in life. But you know what? Everybody's got some secrets in their closet. And some people are just better at hiding them than others. So don't let anybody convince you that you're broken to the point where you're damaged, that God can't do anything with you, or that you don't deserve to live a good life, and you don't deserve to have a good mate, or you don't deserve to live in a certain area. Don't let other people's opinion of you be louder than God's opinion of you. So don't ever count yourself out, even if you got to go by yourself. Believe in yourself when nobody else does. Number 10, make a recovery plan. What are you going to do once you get through what you're dealing with? You know, a lot of times people go back into bad situations because they don't have a plan for when they get out, how they plan to stay out. So a lot of times you need to be strategizing rather than feeling sorry for yourself of, okay, Lord, when you get me out of this, this is what I'm going to do, because I don't want to go back to this anymore. I'm going to do something different. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to need you to help me to stay out of what keeps getting me in this situation. So you got to have a recovery plan, because once God brings you out, you want to stay out. And you don't want to keep going through the same stuff over and over again throughout your life, just wasting your years, just spinning your wheels and not moving forward in life. And you have to tell yourself that you're healed and you're more than a conqueror. There's power in your words. Speak the solution and not the problem, you guys. Everybody else is going to tell you about your problem. Cut them folks off and say, you know what? That may be true, but I'm working on this, this, and this. I'm planning to do this, this, and this to deal with that situation. Don't let people just constantly remind you of the situation you're in. You let them know that you have a plan, that it won't always be like this. And you have to say that to yourself sometimes. Sometimes you have to cry yourself to sleep saying, God, I know you have something better for me. God, I know this is not the life that you planned for me. And I know you're going to make a way for me to get out of this. And you have to keep saying those things, and you have to keep trusting God and listening to his voice until you get on the other side. And when you get to the other side, make a plan of how you're going to stay there, so you won't be doing this boomerang thing, going back and forth with your life. Number 12, remember your past had a purpose. Your past is normally used to help create the person that you are. Do we always like what happened in our past? No, ma'am, we don't. But if you think back about the things that happened to you and how strong you are now simply because of that, you have to say thank you, Lord. Because some things about your character wouldn't be the way they are today had you not gone through what you went through. You know, and you may have cried about it in the past and felt like God was punishing you. You don't know why this is happening to you. But as you move forward and as you grow, you're going to look back and say, you know what? If God hadn't let that happen, I wouldn't be the person I am today. I wouldn't be the role model I am today. I wouldn't be the person that people could trust like I am today. I had to go through people mistreating me, people stealing from me, people lying to me to make me a better person. Because of what they did to me, it made me not want to be like that. And you have to think about those things, you guys. It's easy to sit back and dwell on all the wrong that's happened to you, but think about why God allowed it to happen to you. And think about the person that you are today. I promise you, if you think about the character you have now and just how much you've grown and just how much of a better person you are than that mess that happened to you, you're going to say thank you and you're going to appreciate God for it. So your past has a purpose. And even in our imperfect state, God can and will use us if we allow him to. Even broken, just like the crayon, God still has a plan. You can still be used, even broken. Because sometimes your brokenness makes you more effective. And that's what God had to tell me about myself. Before I started doing these podcasts, I was just all in self-doubt. I was like, God, I done been through this and this done happened, that's failed, and I felt bad about myself, I'm sad about this, blah, blah, blah. God, shut up all that noise. Your brokenness is what makes you more effective, because it's hard for somebody to try to encourage somebody else if they've never been at a point where they needed to be encouraged. If you've never been broken, then how can you talk to somebody about brokenness and how God will bring you out of it? It makes you authentic. It's the word. And God says, be authentic, be transparent, be who you are. Don't be who people expect you to be. Don't try to be that perfect person that people imagine that you are. Let them know that they don't even know you like that. You done been through some stuff, but that's okay. That's your badge of honor. What other people see as scars and damage, that's your badge of honor, because if you could make it through some of the stuff that you made it through, you can't tell me nothing, because I know it was nothing but the Lord that got me through a lot of the things I went through in my past, and it made my character so much better. Because had I not gone through those things, I don't know what kind of person I would even be today. So therefore, don't count that out just because you've had some broken places in your past. Just know God will use those things to let you be more effective, to make you be more authentic, to make people want to draw closer to you, because they know you're not perfect. They know you've been through some stuff, because they're more willing to talk to you, because they're like, well, I know she's been through a lot of things, so she'll understand. She'll have compassion. She won't judge me. She won't look down on me. And so a lot of times God is preparing you to be a blessing to somebody else. And sometimes you have to be broken along the way so that your spirit is right when he sends people to you. And so understand, you, even in your brokenness, even in our past, there was a purpose. God created us to be the people that we are. And God will use whatever he has to develop us into what he expects us to be. Okay, so even in your broken state, God can still use you, and he has a purpose for your life. Number 13, you always have value. Whether you're broken today or whether you're whole today, you are still valuable to God. I don't care who else don't want to fool with you. It's okay. Let them move on, because God allows people to come in and out of our lives anyway. If people can't be with you when you're down, don't let them be with you when you're up. I see a lot of people that make it, rich and famous, whatever, and I see why they still keep the same people around them that they had when they didn't have anything, because those are the only people that that know you for you and love you for you. When you've got money and when you've got fame, everybody want to be your best friend. People are coming out the woodwork talking about they love you and they looking out for you. You have to understand that if people can't be with you in the bad times, don't let them be with you in the good times. Those fair weather friends, it's time out for that. Life is too hard for that. You need some people in your life that are solid, some people that are there for you, whether you on the bottom or if you're on the top, whether you're that broken crayon, or if you're the one that's whole. It shouldn't matter. You are their friend no matter what. So get some people that are stable in your life and that help you to understand you're valuable whether you're broken or whole. Number 14, don't be afraid to be honest and transparent. The truth shuts the enemy's mouth every time. When you're trying to pretend and act like you don't have any issues going on, that's a struggle. That's a job. Especially when you're broken inside or you're living in a broken situation and all hell's breaking loose and you're trying to act like everything's good. That is taxing. That is wearing on your body, because it's hard to put up a front every day. It's hard to pretend. It's so much easier to let somebody know, what, I'm going through something right now. Shed your tears. It's okay. You know, people ain't got to feel sorry for you, but God gave you tears for a reason. If it's hurting you and if it's breaking you, shed your tears. It doesn't make you weak. That just means that you need to let that out so that you can clear your head, so that you can get your mind right, so you can do what you need to do. You don't need to pretend to have it all together. Talk to people that make you feel safe. You know, everybody's not your friend. Everybody's not your partner. Talk to people who accept you and love you no matter what you're going through. And people that will listen to you more than they try to give advice. Number 15, no matter how broken you are, God's opinion of you and his love for you does not change. God does not change his mind like men do. No matter what you've done, no matter what you're going through, God will not change his mind about you. He's going to love you anyway. And his opinion of you, you're still a princess. You're still more than a conqueror. You're still a jewel in his crown. You know, he still sees you as valuable no matter what you're going through. And no matter how broken you are. And there's nothing that you can go through that God won't go through with you. And then number 16, you being broken was not an accident. God knows our future from the beginning. Sometimes being broken is the only way that we will change, you guys. Sometimes we're so stubborn, we're so set in our ways, and God has tried everything to try to get you to listen, everything to try to draw you close to him. And sometimes we're so hard-headed, he has to let something break us, because that's the only way we'll listen. That's the only way we'll get still somewhere. And that's the only way we'll call on him and ask him for assistance. So sometimes he has to allow us to be broken just to get the best out of us. Number 17, use the breaking in your life to your advantage. Don't wallow in what's wrong. Ask yourself, what can I do to make what I've been through more of a stepping stone than a stumbling block? You know, it's all in your perspective. It's all in your mind. You know, even those bad things. Say you lose a job and you felt like you lost it unfairly, this, that, and the other. Use that as a stepping stone. Say, you know what? Maybe that's not where God wanted me. Maybe God wants me to go to school. Maybe God wants me to get my degree. Maybe God wants me to be more confident about myself and do something different than what I'm doing. That's how you use that bad situation instead of letting it be a stumbling block where you're feeling, woe is me, I don't know how I'm going to do this, I don't have a job. Let it motivate you to get out there and do something different. Let it motivate you to get out there and be better at what you were doing, or even change what you were doing altogether. Because sometimes God allows something to end because it's limiting your potential. Sometimes we get comfortable and we want to do what's easy. And sometimes God has to allow something to break us in order for us to get mad enough to do something different. Because sometimes that's the only way we'll do something is if we get mad. You know, that's the only way we'll change sometimes. If somebody pisses us off, then we'll do something different. So sometimes he has to allow those things to happen. But we need to focus on making whatever negative things that have happened in our life, let's make it be a stepping stone instead of using it as a stumbling block and allowing it to stop us and keep us from living. Number 18, don't be afraid to let go of what you know, the familiar, and embrace something different. Sometimes it's necessary to reinvent yourself. You know, sometimes your season and doing something is up and you need to reinvent yourself and figure out, what else can I do? What else am I good at? What else can I learn to develop a skill in that can help me, you know, make money or support my family or help other people? You know, sometimes we got to stop being afraid and wanting to stay comfortable and wanting to stay with what's familiar. So sometimes God will allow things that we know to break us in order for us to reach out for something that we don't know. Number 19, forgive yourself for being human, you guys. We're going to make mistakes. We're going to make bad decisions. Okay? Forgive yourself for being human. You're not Jesus. Number 20, find something to smile about and be grateful for every day. God is doing stuff around us all the time, you guys. But we get so caught up in the hustle and the bustle and trying to make a living and trying to get everybody from here to there and being obligated to do all of this stuff, that stuff. Sometimes we miss out on the joys in life. You know, sometimes we miss out on the simple things that make you just stop and say, Lord, I thank you. You are so wonderful. You know, find something in every day to smile about and be grateful for. And then 21, remember, if words broke you, you know, a lot of times it's other people's words that break us down. But most of the times it's the fact that we receive those words and we begin to say them on the inside to ourselves. So remember, if words broke you, then words can heal you. So turn that thing around and start speaking words of healing over your life. Start speaking the opposite of how you feel. You know, if you feel broken, start telling yourself, I am whole in Jesus' name. You know, start speaking those things over yourself. You know, if it's words that broke you, then words can heal you. 22, it all starts with a seed. You know, it's all about what you receive. You know, if you allow certain seeds to plant, you're going to get the fruit out of it. So be careful of what seeds you let get planted into your life. If you want good seeds, then you have to surround yourself with good things. Don't expect good things to happen to you if you're always around negative and people are always putting off those negative seeds and you're just absorbing all of that. Then you wonder why you don't feel good about yourself. Check your company. Check who you've been talking to. Check what you've been listening to. You know, check what you've been around. Something is not healthy for you, and you're the only one that's going to know what you need to break apart from. And the 23, the fruits of the Spirit are produced from being broken. You know, that's when you learn about long suffering. That's when you learn about temperance, compassion. You know, all those fruits of the Spirit, you learn those things not when things are up. You learn those things when you're going through something. So being broken will impart those fruits of the Spirit in each and every one of us. And I think that's why God allows it to happen, because if He doesn't allow us to have those low times, we'll start skating through life thinking that we don't need God. And so God has to make sure that we're not conformed to the world and we don't have the thinking of the people of the world where it's all about me, get as much as we can while we can. You know, God doesn't want us to conform to that type of thinking. He wants us to have love and temperance and compassion for one another. So He has to impart those fruits of the Spirit sometimes by letting us be broken from time to time. 24, make sure that the people in your life, especially somebody that you're connected to, if it's a love interest or a relationship, that type of thing, make sure those people know the real you. You know, it makes no sense for people to have to walk around on eggshells and not know that they're triggering you. Talk to people. Communication is key. You have to communicate with people, because you can't be mad at them if they don't handle you properly because you've been broken or because of what's happened in your past if you're not honest with them. You know, you can't hold them responsible for that. You know, you talk to me just like so-and-so talked to me, and that just really upset me and makes me nervous. Have you ever told them that? Have you ever told them what happened in your past and how somebody raising their voice affects you, or how somebody running up in your face affects you? If you don't ever share those things and communicate those things, you can't hold them responsible when that thing triggers you. You know, when you're honest with people, people learn how to handle you with care because they know that there are some areas that you're still fragile in. But if you're always acting like you're okay, if you're acting like you're tough all the time, nothing bothers you, you can't be mad at them for what they don't know. So we need to just be honest with people so that people can handle us with care and help us heal and not cause further damage in our lives. 25, don't let society put a value on who you are. You are not damaged good. You just gone through some things. And then my final thought is, just because whatever it is in your life, broke you, doesn't mean you lost all your value. Even broke crayons still color. Don't throw away who you are because of a bad situation or a bad decision. Remember, God draws near to the brokenhearted and those who have a broken spirit. Figure out what broke you, call it what it is, let God heal you, and remember, it's not over until God says it's over. He sees you as valuable. Thank you guys for watching. Love you guys. Thank you for your patience. I ran in here after work. I'm so thirsty. My tongue's sticking to the roof of my mouth. But have a great weekend, you guys. And stay blessed, you guys. And just remember, you are not what you've gone through. Understand that all of that stuff, the pain, the suffering, the sacrifice, it was necessary for you to be the beautiful person that you are now. So don't resent what you've gone through. Don't even hold a grudge against people that hurt you in your past. You know, God has really been working on me, and I've been able to forgive some people. And when I tell you, love you too, Nancy, when I tell you that has been the most freeing thing in the world, I recommend that you let go of people. Let go of your pain. And let go of people and let them go on with their life. And let God heal those parts in you that have been held down by unforgiveness. He'll heal you, and you'll realize that you've got so much life to live, and that whatever somebody did to you, that was just a small part in your life. You have so much more life ahead of you, and don't ruin it over a bad past. You guys take care. God bless you. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.